Happy 50th anniversary to Ann and Al May. Yes, indeed. Hope you're having a great day.
Wow.
Well, they come doubly prepared. All right, let's get back to this racing with 170 complete. They may give them even another lap. But
look under the best station there. Wonder who they're pulling for.
You can tell. For sure. Earnhardt things. Lake Speed out of the race now. Here's Randy with him.
Well, didn't wreck the race car bad. What was it, Motor Lake?
Yeah, I think something inside the engine. I could just sound like he dropped the fork down in the garbage disposal when he was going down the back straightaway there. And we got on the clutch and luckily didn't lose the car. But Ford was starting to come on. We got off to a slow start there. Car was so loose, it was unbelievable at the first of the race. Couldn't run it, but the guys made some adjustments and the car was starting to drive pretty good. And we were passing people and moving up. But end of the day, we'll go get them next week.
Next week is Talladega for the Winston Cup stars. All this crowd moves down to that 2.6-mile track. And the action will be just as enthusiastic. The crowd's just as large as we get down to the final races of the series. 1997, Earnhardt's bio. Been a while since he's won one. 54 in a row. Kannapolis, North Carolina's pride. Brings that field down the back straightaway. He'll be ready to go back to Talladega, the track that tried to bite him a year back. Tore him up pretty well. He could walk away. Rockingham comes after that. Then Phoenix, Arizona. It all comes to conclusion November the 16th in Atlanta, Georgia. How many cars still in that lead lap as we get ready to go, buddy? We're still at 15?
Oh, yeah. But there are 15 good ones. Take my word for it. And a lot of people trying to get back in the lead lap. You must get a good start because there's a lot of people who want your spot.
Get ready to watch him mix it up. It's Earnhardt versus Jarrett. North Carolina struggle between two of their top personalities. And it's Chevrolet versus Ford as they go into turn number one. Turn it back on, working the 172nd lap. 258 when they come around, miles complete.
Classic Earnhardt start there. Nobody jumps him when you get the green flag. You see him going down into turn three there. Dale Jarrett trying to make a move on the outside.
Wheels it right up. Tough part of that turn four. Jarrett hangs it right in there. A bit of a ripple. Throws a lot of guys into the wall. Not these guys.
This is really helping these guys just behind them that's trying to get back in that lead lap. You see them closing right up on Earnhardt's bumper as they head towards the back straightaway.
But here comes Gordon trying to move around Rusty Wallace. Irvin in the 28, Wallace in the 2 trying to get a lap back, and it's even across for the lead another time. Here they come for turn 4. Completing lap 173, still dead even. Earnhardt versus Jarrett. Jarrett on the outside, noses in front in turn 1. Rusty Wallace shoots the gap on the inside to try to move under Ernie Irvin. Get a crack at going after those two leaders and get that number 2 Thunderbird back into that lead lap.
Look at Earnhardt, look on that inside, trying to get the 88 to push up just a little bit. You see him come right back on the inside there to take the lead.
That's the move that works time and time again. And look at Wallace. Easing along on the bottom. The 24, Gordon comes down low. Boy, this looks like a half-mile short track right now.
Dale Jarrett fights back again. They're side by side going into turn 3. Look at Rusty Wallace just behind the 3 there of Earnhardt as they head down into 3. It looked like he was pushing him down the back straightaway.
Averaging 174, 175 miles an hour a lap. Cranking it right in there. Able to look over and see the other guy eye to eye. Lap after lap. Jarrett on the outside. Earnhardt on the inside. And those 2 lap cars. Ernie Irvin's been able to stave off. Riding the outside. The efforts by Rusty Wallace. Can he do it this time? Wallace trying to be hooked up with Earnhardt and drag himself through on the bottom.
This looks like Talladega. They're 3 wide there. You see Ernie Irvin in the center. He kind of stuck the nose in there and thought better of it. But he's going with Jarrett on the outside there.
How long can you do this kind of stuff, Baker?
These are the best in the world at what they do. They can do it for a long time, and the fans are loving it all the way around the racetrack. The arms are flying up in the air. This is Earnhardt, 15 miles from where he was born, fighting for the lead here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
With Dale Jarrett about, what, 20 miles from where he was born?
You got
fighting
it.
for that lead just as well. And here comes Ernie Irvin to the bottom under Jarrett. Meanwhile, Mark Martin still deployed in fourth. Kyle Petty in fifth. Jeff Burton in sixth. And Terry Labonte, who led 96 laps at the outset. Everything but those first 7 or 8 laps by Jeff Bodine, the pole sitter. He's right back in this thing. Bunched right up in 7th spot with his brother Terry in 8th.
You'll see just behind this group, look at Mark Martin. He said, I want my dog in this fight too. He moved right up there. He's charging into 4th spot as we speak.
Mark Martin giving us these pictures as he goes for 3rd spot on Gordon. Durashine aerial platform giving you these pictures. Gordon trying to pull up around those lap cars. He's got to do a little defensive stuff here because Mark Martin is really after him. There's Gordon to the high side.
He's handling very well. He gets a good run off the corner, pulls even with Jarrett down the straightaway, and look at Mark Martin coming with him. He's using the gap down the straightaway, 200 miles an hour into turn 1.
Stays there with Gordon. 3rd is Gordon. 4th is Martin. Look at Kyle Petty at 44 running 5th. And how about this one? At 99, Jeff Burton. He's looking right back at the guy that led so much of the early going here, Bobby Labonte. Tucked in between them. That's the 90. Dick Trickle. He's a lap or 2 down. And see exactly where Trickle is in all of this. Still out there hustling that car around. Dick Trickle in the 18th position. Lap down.
Whoa, look at, I'm telling you right now, Jeff Gordon made it 3 wide coming off turn 2 or 4 there. Pulls up on Rusty Wallace, but that was a wreck. It just didn't happen. I looked at 24. He was 2 inches off the wall.
Give that man a red badge of courage all the way to the wall. He had to have a time just right or he would have run out of time in this 500. Rusty Wallace right there with him. Wallace still fighting to make up that lap.
Well, the Fords had dominating cars at the very first of the race, but now Earnhardt checks out. He has about a 10-car lap lead. There goes Jeff Gordon in 2nd place. Hey, the Chevrolets are fighting here. They're running very well.
John Andretti has come back on the track. Kevin LePage came out briefly. Remember, he started 12th, was in that wreck. He's gone back in. And look at this. Here we are, back there again. Gordon and Martin at it. That 2nd spot that's being contended.
Look at that, 3 wide down into turn 3. Gordon fighting the outside. Mark Martin just a little bit better as far as getting a good bite through the corner.
The car of Hut Strickland down on the bottom back out, as you saw in that picture. They made him 3 wide.
As you can see, Mark Martin takes over 2nd there from Gordon.
Jarrett is backed up to 4th. Kyle Petty stays 5th. Jeff Burton 6th. Bobby Labonte stays in 7th. Whoops, Bobby Labonte comes around the 99. Jeff Burton falls back a spot. Here come the Pontiacs.
I'll tell you what, Bobby Labonte, he gets the Attaboy Award right now. He just made it 3 wide down in the middle of the corner, and he's doing anything he wants to with this car. Kyle Petty is just a second ago with the world leader. Look at him go by him there. That's 2 car lengths in 1 corner.
That's 5th place for Bobby Labonte. Alan Bestwick.
Ken, this week NASCAR has made a rules modification for the Chevrolet Monte Carlo teams, giving them an additional 1/4 inch of rear spoiler. One of the biggest proponents of getting some sort of rules modification was Richard Childress, Dale Earnhardt's team owner, feeling that they needed something to be a little more competitive with the Fords. Jeff Gordon and his team, who have won 10 races this year, Childress said, were winning a lot of races when they didn't have the fastest car. Not that they had a better car than the Fords, but teamwork, the best driver, and the best crew chief were winning in those races. Well, here's a Chevrolet other than Jeff Gordon's out in front this week.
And those laps that are being led by Earnhardt, hey, it's been a while. He's led 19 today, and that's the most since Talladega back in May when he led 76.
You know, the one factor you can never dial in with rear spoilers and downforce and all that, size of driver's heart. Right now, Earnhardt's in front of his hometown fans, and he's driving his heart out. That's an extra quarter of an inch of spoiler right there.
It's a great way to put it, buddy. That's the kind of thing we saw Jimmy Spencer do yesterday when he just out-couraged everybody in the field to win that 300-miler. Look at Mark Martin. He's in second. Rusty Wallace still trying to find a way to make up that lap with the number 2 Ford Thunderbird. A lot of action here at Charlotte and more to come. It says you pull your belts down, you get your eyes as big as silver dollars, and you go for it. And that's what he's doing today in the UAW-GM 500. Earnhardt is going for it. He's leading here at lap 192.
What he's doing right now, though, his eyes are big as a silver dollar, but it's full of that number 6 car closing in on him. Mark Martin is there. He is just behind Earnhardt.
Kevin LePage is number 91. A little disabled down on the bottom of the track. You know, it's wonderful to hear this crowd respond. When you're winning all the time, when you're prolific and you just can't seem to miss and you win 8 or 9 or 10 races. You got to remember, there aren't 2 teams out here. There are 43 teams. And 42 teams aren't happy if you're dominating. Didn't matter if it was Cale Yarborough. Didn't matter if it was Baker. Didn't matter if it was Darrell Waltrip. Didn't matter if it was Earnhardt. Those others all wanted to see their guy win sooner or later. But when the road gets a little rocky and gets a little tough, and these fans know how good these drivers are, they respond as they are today to Earnhardt. Now they want to see him fight his way back into this thing. And fight he must, because here comes Mark Martin out of Batesville, Arkansas, and he's got a loaded gun. 1 car length separates first and second as they float around this track at about 173 miles an hour right now. Average speed. Earnhardt still first. Martin in second. Gordon to third. Jarrett fourth. Bobby Labonte in fifth, and Kyle Petty in sixth. And look at Kyle Petty, that green car you saw in the back of the frame. He's there. Here's Martin coming to the inside.
You can see him fighting through the dogleg there, down into turn 1. Earnhardt fights back on the outside.
Travis Carter has said that the reason he liked Jimmy Spencer so much is that he's like Earnhardt. He just can't stand to be passed. He will fight harder than anyone to stay there. But here's that Ford down on the inside.
Here comes Earnhardt back on the outside. It looks like the 6 car has an advantage, but here comes Earnhardt back.
Even as they come to the line. And Earnhardt goes back in front.
This looks like the race yesterday. Jimmy Spencer took the high line. Mark Martin on the bottom. Cannot muster up enough. Coming off of the corner there. He's not able to swing out to the wall and use momentum to get great straightaway speed. Earnhardt knows that. You can see him holding very tight there. Going in the corner, Mark has to be very careful not to slip. Look at the back of Martin. Just a little bit loose as they come off turn 4.
That's Earnhardt applying the same pressure that Spencer did a day before to try to contain Mark Martin, to pin him down, to make him work that car a little harder going into that first turn and lift a little sooner. So it's Earnhardt back in front. And that's just sheer guts.
You can see Jeff Gordon there. I think he's just biding his time. He knows he has a little bit of a point lead. Now he goes to the outside of Rusty Wallace there. 3rd place car, Jeff Gordon, fighting on the outside.
Looking for Mark Martin back at that number 24. Earnhardt first, Martin second, Gordon.
Take a look
at this crowd coming along. Here's the 18.
There comes Bobby Labonte. That green car led and dominated the first part of this race. You can see in the corner, no contest. Bobby Labonte is much quicker in the middle part of the corner. Pontiac moves into 3rd. Let's see where he's at here. I got to look at the computer.
I think you'll find him.
He's in 4th place at the moment.
There's that battle for first continuing. Earnhardt, Martin, Gordon. You're right. Labonte up to 4th. Jarrett falls to 5th.
Look at Earnhardt. He looked to the inside there as Mark Martin takes the lead away. As they go down in the corner, here comes Earnhardt again. Second place is not something he loves to do.
And they're throwing those cars into those corners. 180, 185. Slow them down. A little under 170 in the middle of those corners.
A Ford
inches apart.
A Ford leads, 2 Chevrolets just behind him. Will the Chevrolets gang up on Ford and draft up on him? It looks like Mark Martin is just a little quicker now in the center part of the corner than Earnhardt.
Mark Martin looking back. Earnhardt's there. There's your top 4. There's your top 5.
Look at Bobby Labonte on the outside coming up on Jeff Gordon. It's just a matter of time. This is a rocket ship.
Pontiac. That green machine closing in on the Chevrolet of Jeff Gordon. Swings to the outside.
Oh, man. I've had some great race cars on super speedways, but I don't believe that I ever had it covered like Bobby Labonte has right now. He swings by there like he's on a quarter-mile racetrack.
Closes up on the leaders. Bobby Labonte coming up on Earnhardt. Ford, Chevy, Pontiac, 1, 2, 3. Working lap 203.
There goes Bobby Labonte. He takes the outside line on Earnhardt there. I don't think he's going to have enough to pull him there, though. Earnhardt is very, very smart. When you get behind him, he can get very wide when you try to make the moves on him.
304.5 at 500 miles run. Bobby Labonte closes up on Earnhardt in the 3 car. Mike Hogwood can tell us more about Earnhardt's mount right now.
Early in the race, Ken, Dale Earnhardt talking a lot with his crew. They were even talking about the crew being hungry. But when Dale Earnhardt took the lead, and now that he's battling with the leaders, there have been no words exchanged between crew and driver for the last 15 or 20 minutes. This is the way Dale Earnhardt likes to race. He's out there on his own, says he's got the car to do it. Gets covered by Bobby Labonte, and now Dale Jarrett fades to the outside to try to make a run on it. The first time Bobby, hold on that. Coming up, Bobby Labonte making his move, trying to get in here and pull up on Mark Martin for the lead.
You see Dale Jarrett moving there on Earnhardt also. It looks to me that Earnhardt might have a little chassis problem. He's not running quite as well through the corners. You see Jeff Gordon moving up on the outside also.
Bobby Labonte hasn't led a lap since lap 102. But he's ready to go for it now. And here comes Dale Jarrett right back into the hunt.
Look at Gordon there. That's one of the best against the kid that everybody, I mean, he said that Earnhardt was his hero when he moved into this sport. That was what he kind of gauged anything that he done. If he ever got where he could run with Earnhardt, he thought he was there. And he is doing it very well. You notice Kyle Petty's moved in here also.
Kyle Petty right up behind Earnhardt. Put him in 6th spot. The 92-95 winner, Mark Martin, still in front, but closing him down is Labonte. Mike Hogwood.
Just talked to crew chief Larry McReynolds of Dale Earnhardt's team, and he says that Dale simply used up his tires trying to hold off Mark Martin. They're now just going to ride it out to the next pit stop and get a fresh set of rubber on. Then they think they can go back and race again. Those tires are used up.
Kyle Petty coming to the inside. 207 laps have been completed of the 334 to be run today in this 500-mile test, in which Mark Martin currently commands. TNT here today. We've got it. This race is dynamite. Look at Mark Martin out in front. His lead is shrinking as Bobby Labonte is closing in. Ford against Pontiac, and then you've got Dale Jarrett right back at it again in 3rd spot. Kyle Petty, who started in 40th position today, now has himself up to 5th. Sandwiched in between Kyle Petty and Jarrett, Jeff Gordon. There you see it, 7 different leaders today. They've swapped that lead 16 times to date. 213 laps are now complete, 319 miles. Let's check in with Randy Pembroke.
Crew Chief Bobby Kennedy standing here. You're having a great run, Bobby. Tell us a little bit about it.
Car's been really good. We made a couple adjustments on the first stop and hadn't touched it since. You know, we're fortunate enough to get that caution when we need it, get our lap back, and put us in a pretty good situation right now.
When will you pit next?
We're looking about lap 225. Then we'll have probably a 2-tire stop at the end of the stage green.
Oh, there's a little strategy he's telling you about right now. You know, to the contrary of what Dale Earnhardt has done when he ran his tires hard, Kyle Petty laid back, didn't do any damage to his tires. Now the track once again coming to him.
11 laps away from a pit stop. Kyle Petty looking for that first win since 1995 at Dover. Here's the man he has to beat for the very top of the list today. Mark Martin staying out in front, but his lead is now just a second. It was 1 3/10. Bobby Labonte closing down.
We had a report just a second ago that Earnhardt said there was some debris in turn 1. You don't think he wants new tires, do you?
I'll bet they're hoping, everybody's hoping to find some debris out there except Mark Martin right now. Take a look at this interval between first and second place. Mark Martin's Ford and the Pontiac of Bobby Labonte. And there's Dale Jarrett just in the back of that frame.
You know, as great as Labonte is running in second place there, Mark Martin's holding his own, and he's going through traffic very, very well. You're riding with Bobby Labonte now. As they come out of turn 2, you can see the lead car right up in front of him up there. But Mark is really running a very, very easy race right now. Easy on his tires. Bobby Labonte may have used his tires really hard to get up to second place.
Hey, buddy, take us around here with Bobby Labonte as we ride with this Wicks Interstate car. Now we're back with the leader for just a second, looking from the Durashine aerial platform. But we get back in that in-car. Can you give us a little feeling about how it is to get around this track, get down low on it?
Well, we can just look at Mark there coming off turn 2. He starts down the back straightaway. You can see the car. Those lines are about 15 feet apart, but they look like they're solid down that back straightaway. That's how fast they're running. Right back down to the bottom. Mark Martin not letting the car slide. He's not putting any extra heat into the tires. Now off turn 4 and down toward the start-finishing line. Right about here, they start angling to the outside, but you see the shade here. Momentarily, you're blinded going into turn 1 because of the shade off the condos getting into turn 1. Then when you go back into the sunshine, you kind of split and get ready for the back straightaway again.
Kenny Wallace in the Square D car giving you that ride around the racetrack as he was being lapped by Mark Martin in the number 6. Kenny is back in 29th position as you've seen in these rundowns. Now here's Martin still holding his own, and it's back to 1 2/10 of a second. He's picked up a little now. Closes in on David Green, who's back in the race. Had rear end trouble earlier, and that led to a big jam session over in turn 2. Riding with Mark Martin. Here's over to the side. Check on Green.
You can see Mark has a different driving style than most guys. He takes both hands and puts them over on the left side of the steering wheel. Once he gets the car turned where he wants it, very little movement going through the corner there. On the straightaway, you'll see him come back over and readjust his hands. He'll put them in the 10 and 2 position, but in the corners, he always takes his right hand and throws it way over there and starts turning down.
That's what Cale used to do.
You can see right there, he's actually resting his left arm down the straightaway next to the net there on the roll cage.
Time for pit stops, lap 220. Derek Cope is coming onto pit road. Cope running in 24th, comes in. And now we see the 97 car also coming in. Chad Little up in 23rd. Here's Rusty Wallace's number 2 up and away. Martin continuing to dominate at this time.
Well, it won't be long before we'll see the 6th car, and especially Dale Earnhardt. He said he's used up his tires. All these guys will be heading down pit road. You wouldn't believe the difference when you put 4 new tires on a race car on a racetrack that's as slick as this is right now. You feel like you could not make a mistake when you get new tires on.
And you could see how slick it was there as Martin just let that car climb up, gave it free rein to bring it across. Here's the number 3, Earnhardt on pit road. This is lap 222. Actually working lap 223 as Dale Earnhardt comes in. Just in front of him, the 42 is pitted, Joe Nemechek, and he's back underway. Mike Hogwood has that number 3 car as it comes to a halt.
And Dale Earnhardt is going to get 4 fresh tires that he sorely needed. They are not going to do any major chassis adjustments. Dale feels the fresh rubber is the only thing they need. They're taking about a half a round out just to loosen it up just a little bit as they put in a full tank of fuel. They've been discussing the track changing just a bit. Dale does think it's going to come to him. He is down and away, 17.1. High fives here on pit road. They did a great pit stop. Alan Pittman.
Jeff Gordon is on pit road. The DuPont Chevrolet getting right side tires. They're also going to give up a little track position and take a right front rubber spring out to try and cure a problem where the car is pushing off the corner, meaning it wants to drive straight toward the wall. Gordon down and away with that spring rubber out. Let's go upstairs.
And just in front of him, Dale Jarrett making a pit stop in almost the identical time. The Labonte brothers, Terry and Bobby, are both in on pit road now. Randy?
Terry Labonte has already pitted up a half pound on the left rear, 4 tires. He likes the car on long runs. Kyle Petty now in. One small wedge adjustment on the right side, 4 tires. Very good pit stop to the Hot Wheels car. Steve Burns.
Randy, Bobby Labonte down here, a routine stop. We heard them talk about making an air pressure adjustment. That'll stiffen up the springs. But Bobby Labonte is gone after 4 tires.
Kyle Petty's number 44 works his way onto pit road. Bill Elliott is in. Elliott currently in 8th of these pit stops. Mark Martin over there.
Mark Martin slowing. Well, no, he looked like he was slowing. He just had the car right down on the white line. I thought he was going to make him stop this time by, but you see him going by way speed there.
Martin continuing to lead and draw it out. He's up to 226 laps. Ted Musgrave now in 2nd spot. Benson to 3rd. Grissom to 4th. Michael Waltrip to 5th. As Martin stays out there again.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit. This won the race for him in Dover. You can see him slowing. He's getting ready to come down pit road as we speak.
Next to last stop for Mark Martin in this 500-mile race. And for just 18 or 19 seconds, he'll turn over the task of keeping his car up in front for those good men on pit road. Let's see what they do. Steve?
And to the attention of crew chief Jimmy Fennig, and keep in mind, as we said at the top of the show, Mark Martin and Jack Roush have never won a Winston Cup championship. Steve Meal, the team manager, said, let's go with sticker tires. Those are brand new tires. The right side went off quickly. Martin just has a drink of Gatorade. The left sides are on, no chassis adjustment. 20.7 seconds for Mark Martin.
Jeremy Mayfield making his pit stop. Martin is back out. So now at the current time, Musgrave Musgrave is just pitted. People have Benson out in front, Grissom in 2nd.
It's going to be very close when the leaders go out on the racetrack. You see Mark Martin going out on the back straightaway as we watch Benson go down the front straightaway into turn 1. But going down the back straightaway, the guys that just stopped, Bobby Labonte is now going by Mark Martin down into turn 3. Benson taking the lead there in the 30 car, doing a great job today.
Another Pontiac for the lad from Grand Rapids, Michigan, Johnny Benson. Just behind him, Grissom will be in 2nd. Michael Waltrip in 3rd. And they're showing Bobby Labonte running in 4th among the heavy hitters who have been up front today. Here's Benson on pit road. Watch this pit stop for Johnny Benson. Gives it up. Grissom, now the leader. Michael Waltrip for the Wood brothers into 2nd. 4-tire change here.
See him going with the jack there, 2 pumps. Gets the car up, takes on left. You talk about getting with it, 21 seconds there. That's a very good stop.
Bahari Racing Team losing Johnny Benson at the end of the season. So Grissom in the number 41 has a crack at that lead for a moment. Steve Grissom out of Alabama had that terrible wreck in Atlanta, Georgia. Cut the car right in 2. And the 43, Hamilton is in. Randy is there.
Well, just a routine stop for Bobby Hamilton, running in 18th place, not having the best day. The King's car isn't, but 4 tires down and away. Just a clean windshield, he's gone.
He's away, and we're going to have Michael Waltrip wearing those Wood Brothers colors for a moment, out in the lead. And this swap along pit road, green flag condition. Michael Waltrip has just pitted the 21. Kenny Wallace is also pitted. That's the first lap that Grissom has led in the entire campaign of 97. You see the 41 going all the way around, 4 tires on him. Here's the 21 rolling down pit road. Michael Waltrip getting back into it in the Wood Brothers car. And here is your new leader. That'll be Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, there's a little shake-up there. Bobby Labonte passed Mark Martin, as I told you just a second ago, and the second-place car now is Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin is all the way back to third now.
With Gordon fourth. It looks like Earnhardt fifth and Kyle Petty in sixth. This at lap 232 of 334. A great pit stop by the Joe Gibbs team. Make Car and Company getting it done for Bobby Labonte. And that work on pit road in these green flag conditions makes all the difference. Look at Dale Jarrett down to the inside. He's a streamer right now as he tries to close in on Labonte. Kyle Petty's in sixth. Terry Labonte's in seventh. Jeff Burton's back there in eighth, and Bill Elliott in ninth. Ward Burton is 10th at the moment. The Winston Cup Series in their 28th event of 1997, the UAW-GM 500 here on TBS. 140,000 plus, making it the 4th largest city for an afternoon. A beautiful afternoon. A great afternoon to go to a race. Hello. My goodness.
I bet he'll never put his finger back in that light socket again. Wow.
Watching right now is Bobby Labonte. Stays out in front. Had 19 different leaders thus far in this race. As we've rolled down through, 239 laps are now complete. Let's check our numbers of actual drivers. They've switched it around 19 times among 9 folks that have had an opportunity to be in front. Bobby Labonte led early for 96 laps if you're just joining us. Had a major altercation over in turn 2, tore up a bunch of race cars. That was a hard lick. Knocked down Jeff Bodine, knocked down Jimmy Spencer, collected out there. And right now, this guy who just ran away from the field and had everybody lapped up into the top 10, we still have 15 cars in that lead lap. Correction on that. There may be 1 or 2 out of that.
Yeah, and I'm very, very concerned about Kyle Petty. He closes in on the lead cars. Looks like he has the car to beat. He makes the pit stop. I just wonder if he's having bad pit stops, or maybe the car set up for long runs. Surely the guys in the pits could tell us.
How about it, Randy?
Well, actually, he's been fine just about all day long. Steve Burns and I had that conversation with the Goodyear official earlier today. He told us that some guys can just get what they call a bad set of tires, and that just is that the circumference, the spring rate, the compression of that tire, the way it's made just doesn't seem to match up. And that's what the problem is with Kyle Petty right now. He's a little loose. The tires they thought were absolutely identical to the ones they had on before, but they're just not conducive to going fast right now. Steve Burns?
Hey, Randy, exactly. We just heard Bobby Labonte radio Jimmy Maycar and said this set of tires, this set is very loose. Now, as we said earlier, Bobby Labonte is a master at feeling how the tires are sticking or not to the racetrack. So the next set of tires will probably be better. Ken?
So it's not the pit stops. It's getting back up to speed. It's making a difference for Kyle Petty. Getting those tires to work on this 1.5 mile Charlotte Motor Speedway. Time beginning to run out with Labonte still in front. Jarrett second, Martin third, Gordon fourth, Earnhardt fifth, and Kyle 11.5 seconds back in the 6th position. Difference between first and second lies at 1 4/10. Derek Cope unscheduled stop right now on pit road.
You see Earnhardt in the 3 there closing in on Jeff Gordon. Now, he ran out of tires a while ago, making a big charge to the lead and taking the lead. I think he may be a little more conservative as he runs along there with Gordon. And I'm sure that Larry McReynolds is saying, hey, save something for a little later in the run. Don't use them up right now.
Here is Bobby Labonte. That's the 18 car out in front. Earlier, he escaped a scalping. Take a look at this. Here's the wreck from his point of view that was up there in turn 2 when Kevin LePage and Jeff Bodine got in trouble.
You see him sideways there. You can see the flaps on the hood going up to keep the car down, pressed to the racetrack. He slides in turn 2 over there. Very, very lucky he wasn't hit by cars going by. You can see him going by the front of the car there as he sits very still.
Going by on either end, missing him by inches. Flat spot of the tires, fell back to 15. Now once again he's in the lead. Jeff Gordon came into this race today with a 135-point lead over Mark Martin. Right now, Martin's 1 position in front of him in 3rd to Gordon's 4th.
You can see Bobby Hamilton go right by Labonte right now. Bobby Labonte is fighting a loose condition. We heard that just a second ago. Bobby Hamilton went by him. That's about the only car that's passed Bobby Labonte all day long. But the Pontiac seemed to be working very, very well on long runs.
Be a big day for that mark. Been a while, as we mentioned earlier, since they've tasted victory. Meanwhile, Earnhardt lying just off the rear bumper of Jeff Gordon in the 24. There you see them. That's 4th and 5th. And Kyle trying to close up behind Earnhardt's number 3.
Earnhardt's just a little over 4 seconds back behind the leader of Bobby Labonte right now.
Kenny Schrader's had a good day in the 33 for Andy Petrie. He stays 13th on this field. Number 98 coming in, unscheduled stop there. That car got tasted a little earlier. John Andretti got it up in the wall in turn 4. So John is now running back in 33rd. Again, 4 races to go on the Winston Cup schedule. When they conclude this 500 in Charlotte, they're off to Talladega. That date is moved from the end of July up here into the autumn. How to make the conditions a lot more conducive to fan and racer alike down there. Then it's off to Rockingham, North Carolina on the 26th, to Phoenix, Arizona, November the 2nd. And it all concludes for the championship in Atlanta, Georgia on the 16th of November. Alan Vesper.
With Buddy Parrott, the crew chief for Jeff Burton, who was leading this race a little bit earlier on in the event. Buddy, you were leading the race earlier. You've fallen back now. What's Jeff saying about the car?
Well, the track's changed quite a bit. We're trying to get a hold of it. We made a big change a while ago, and we're just hoping the thing will come around. We just need to do something to get caught up. We wasn't real sure that we got the car full on last deal, so I don't know if that's going to play into the strategy or not, but the guys are doing a great job in the pits. He's doing a great job coming from 28th today, or 29th, and we're still in the battle. It's a long race, and it's Charlotte, so anything can happen.
So they're hoping for a caution to get caught up, come down pit road, and hoping for a caution before they have to stop short because the fuel tank didn't get quite full on that last green flag stop, Ken.
Jeff Burton just getting around Kyle Petty. So he takes over 6. Kyle falls to 7. Jeff Burton getting some very good help from Frankie Stoddard in that car. Stoddard seems to have made a lot of difference in the makeup of that team to get this thing percolating to where it won again last week in Martinsville, Virginia on the half mile. That was their first short track win. Well, here's your leader. And let's check that interval. Hey, he may be having trouble, Buddy, but he's just gone to 1 7/10 of a second between first and second, between Labonte and Jarrett.
Well, what happens there? You get caught up in traffic. Some of the guys, like Earnhardt knows, they closed it up there to less than 3 seconds, and they got in traffic, and they fell back to 5 seconds now. So how you catch traffic is everything when you're trying to catch the leader.
Well, there may be more to that story, and after we take this break, we'll check in with Steve Burns on Bobby Labonte's number 18. So we're at 257 of 334 laps now complete. We've accomplished 385.5 miles. Bobby Labonte back in the captain's chair in this race, leading out here by just a second. It fluctuates. It was up to 1.7. Now it's an even second. Let's check in with Steve Burns as to how that 18's operating.
Hey, Ken, Bobby Labonte is making it look easy, but I'm telling you, he's got his hands full of that number 18 right now. He radioed crew chief Jimmy Makar and said, this thing is all over the place as he goes by the 90. And Jimmy Makar said, just hang on, we're going to make our final stop with 45 or 50 laps to go, and that would be about lap 284. Randy?
Well, we documented that Kyle Petty got a mismatch or loose set of tires. Terry Labonte is saying the same thing. His tires are going away. Now, I find it interesting that Buddy Parrott sort of blames it on the racetrack. Of course, Buddy, Jeff Burton's crew chief, talking about the fact that this racetrack has changed. Let's go back upstairs.
We had 16 cars in the lead lap. You can just erase one of them. You saw Dick Trickle in the number 90 going a lap down as the number 18 continues to take no prisoners.
I never argue with crew chiefs because they're in direct competition. You know, they're talking to their driver. But Bobby Labonte is passing cars on the bottom side of the racetrack in a loose condition. You would normally spin out when you pass cars on the low side. He looked pretty good in the corners to me.
Yeah, I like your line about his helmet. He's wearing that Colts helmet today.
Yeah, he's already used up one of those horseshoes in that slide over there. But when it's your day, it's your day. And he has been very, very lucky. He could have been wiped out in the wreck earlier today.
Yeah, there's that helmet right there. Hope that horseshoe holds on for him. Speaking about football, let's go to Alan Bestwick.
Well, you know, I'm standing down in Jeff Gordon's pit. Many of the racing community around Charlotte are friends with members of the Carolina Panthers NFL team. This is Gerald Williams, defensive lineman for the Panthers. This is Sunday. What are you doing on the racetrack?
Well, this is our bye weekend. I wanted to be relaxing, and this is relaxation for me.
Your Panthers are off this weekend. What's your next game and where?
Our next game is in Minnesota against the Vikings, and hopefully we can start out off on a successful month.
All right, Gerald. Appreciate your coming out here, and thank you for being a part of NASCAR racing. Good luck next weekend against Minnesota.
Thank you very much.
Gerald Williams, a Jeff Gordon fan with many of the other Panthers. Matt Elliott, also one of the Panthers, been hanging around. Wesley Walls, the Panthers tight end, was here in Jeff Gordon's pit earlier, all taking advantage of their bye week in the National Football League. And watch some NASCAR racing.
It was 1 7/10 of a second between number 18, Bobby Labonte in first, and Dale Jarrett. It's now down to 0.8 of a second. Dale Jarrett is closing in on that leader.
Look at this. Mark Martin, he's looking in the mirror there. Jeff Gordon's reeled him in from about a full straightaway back. It looks to me that Jeff Gordon has a good race car right at the moment. You're looking back from Mark Martin's car. This is going down into turn one. You see the shadow there and then right back into the sunshine. That works on the eyes.
Now here are the players who still have a chance to pick up a card and try to deal it out here in the last part of this play. Labonte in the 18. Jarrett, Martin, Gordon, Earnhardt all tucked in there tight together. And an outside chance certainly with 99, Jeff Burton. Kyle Petty in 7th. Terry Labonte in 8th. You can never discount Terry Labonte if he's in the lead lap.
How would you like to try to catch Jeff Gordon in a points race when you look in the mirror and he's 2 car lengths back there just riding right behind you?
How about Bill Elliott today, still in 9th spot in number 94. Ward Burton staying right up in that lead lap in 10th. Johnny Benson having a very good day, currently in 11th. Can't believe that Bobby Labonte has run that car as hard as he has all day, and that car has stood up. When he took off at the beginning of this race, wasn't anything like it on the racetrack. That was the biggest advantage I think we've seen in Winston Cup racing this season. He just decimated the rest of the field.
Well, he says he's loose right now, but he ain't real shabby, I'll tell you that. He's got a pretty good race car, but what they're talking about when they say loose, they're talking the back end is trying to pass the front. When you start off in the corner, the rear wheels are not hooking up to the racetrack, and it wants to skate. And boy, I'll tell you, it's a very uncomfortable feeling when it turns sideways in the middle of the corner.
Into the last 100 miles, and what does it feel like in these corners? When you've got a day like this is very much like we remember those warm Memorial days before they went to a night race. When you get down to that last 100 miles, what is this track like?
Ken, you won't believe, the biggest thing you fight is yourself because you don't want to make a mental error. First off, when you start racing and racing and racing every corner. You're trying to duplicate the perfect lap. All of a sudden, you just have a moment that you kind of lose concentration. All of a sudden, you're in a lane where you haven't run before. The car starts to slide, and you're in big trouble. The biggest thing is really keying in and running that perfect lap every lap.
And you have to do that all yourself. Look at the 21 up on the high side. Michael Waltrip in those grand old Wood Brothers colors. At number 21, Michael Waltrip had a great day. Up in 15th out of the 43 starters. And isn't it wonderful to see that car painted in the traditional Wood Brothers colors of Stewart, Virginia?
I want to comment on that again. The difference in a great race car driver and a good race car driver is the amount of concentration that he can put into a race. That is the difference. A lot of people have a great ability. They don't have the ability to reproduce that perfect lap every lap.
That's what makes this sport so unique and part of the subtlety that is so often overlooked. Can't overlook that number 21 right now. Doesn't that bring back memories, buddy?
You know, I'm glad to see the nose of that car and realize it's white. I looked at the back of that thing, but I really never got that shot. David Pearson in 1973 drove that car so very, very great. And I mean, I think he was 14-time pole winner here at Charlotte. I mean, anytime David Pearson crawled through the window of that Mercury, he was a winner, man. I tell you, the Wood Brothers, they were great in the pits. That was a complete race team.
Yeah, take a look at some of that video from the past of some of those great champions. Cale Yarborough, remember the great victory he had with this team of the Wood Brothers when he took the checkers in 68 at Daytona 500. A.J. Foyt, 72 at Daytona, and then again at Atlanta. And then David Pearson, as you mentioned, with so many great victories. And that last shot, one of the best, no doubt. They were all involved in that maroon, white, and gold. I still think we ought to start a petition or something, write to Glenn and Leonard and the whole gang and say, hey, those are the colors. Keep those Wood Brothers colors up there.
Well, right now,
the sponsor probably has a lot to say about that.
You can see Bobby Labonte going by him there. But Dale Jarrett has closed it down to less than a car length as they head into turn 3.
Here's who's out of the race. Bodine, that crash. He's set on the pole. Lake speed's gone. Engine went away on his car. They've torn up some equipment. Jimmy Spencer's out of this thing. Difference between first and second?
There is no difference. Right there is the leader in the green car. The blue one right behind him is Dale Jarrett. There is no difference. Right now, one slip and you have a 2-car length lead for Dale Jarrett.
Well, this is old-time Winston Cup racing. I mean, it's back to 1 car length. That's a big difference. Most of these races, well, almost 2.
Let me tell you what can happen right now. If Dale Jarrett has been radioed and said that Bobby Labonte has a loose condition, the thing to do is run very, very close on the back of the car and makes it get looser yet. So Dale Jarrett, you can see Bobby go up the racetrack. Dale's on the bottom trying to take the lead.
But I don't think he wants to play out there too long with Mark Martin still lying back there, 4 seconds away from the leader, and Jeff Gordon right there with him in 4th. I would think he'd want to dispatch that car if he couldn't get on with the getting on.
Oh boy, here we go. He had to back off at the lap car on the inside there. You can see Dale Jarrett had to hold up just for a second. Got a great run off turn 4, though.
Handling condition on the 18, negative. The 88, trying to get around. And closing ever closer, Mark Martin. It was 4.5 seconds. Now it's 4.1, back to 3rd. Situation 275 with 334 laps complete. Brings your mileage factor to 412.5 down.
You can see Jarrett taking a look on the outside. What he's doing now is just worrying him. I think he may have made the move going into turn 3 there.
Got him covered. Into first place once again goes Dale Jarrett. And back comes Bobby Labonte, trying it outside as Joe Gibbs looks on. Watches his driver settle back into second spot. Dale Jarrett is your new leader. Lives right up the road here in Hickory, North Carolina. Third in the Winston Cup points. And closing down.
Look at this, a mirror image. You see the 6 car there. Second place in the point standings right now. Jeff Gordon, the leader in the national point standings, making a move on Martin as they start off the corner.
Goes to the bottom. Chevy down low, Ford up high, and it's going to be Gordon this time. Gordon up to third. What a great scramble if you're just joining us early. We had 15, 20 laps that were just magnificent between this pair. And that for the lead. Dale Jarrett, the 1994 winner of this race, and the 96 600 winner, is back in command. Bobby Labonte finds himself in second. There is one pit stop remaining among these leaders. There are 10, 11 cars now in the lead lap as we get ready to decide this 500. Approximately 75 miles left to run in this one. Dale Jarrett, who comes into this race 222 points out of first place to Jeff Gordon and 87 to Mark Martin. Right now commanding the 38th annual UAW-GM 500. Here's Dale closing up behind Kenny Wallace in the 81 and the number 22. Now that's one of those Burton boys. And Ward Burton is currently being shown in 6th. Now the reason that he's up, the 99 has pitted just a moment ago. Jeff Burton and also Kyle Petty is pitted. Those are happening a little earlier than we might have anticipated. Ricky Craven's on pit road at the present time. Joe Nemechek, Hut Strickland coming back out as well. Hut involved in that accident early. 35 position for him.
Bobby Labonte, or Terry Labonte, just makes the pit stop.
Terry Labonte up on pit road, way up toward the entry. He is being shown in 9th spot as he makes his stop. And they can go home from here. 285 of 334 laps have been completed. Dale Jarrett, after his 14th career win, trying to get a notch up here. Here comes Earnhardt on the pit road. 5th place in the race as he brings number 3 Chevrolet down at 55 miles an hour, ready to make that stop. Mike Hogwood there.
The crew has had 2 great pit stops of 18 seconds or better, but they've been frustrated because it hasn't gained them any position on the track. Richard Childress just gave the team a pep talk and said, make this the best one of the day. So give it everything you've got. This is where we can win the race. They were gone with 4 tires and an adjustment. Their shadows on the track. They're down and away. 18.5. A good stop for Earnhardt. Steve Burns.
And Mike, as you said, this is it, the final stop for these teams. It's up to the pit crews now as Mark Martin slams it into his stall. They're going to go to the right side. They are also going to make a chassis adjustment. The wedge wrench is in. Come around to the left side, a 4-tire change. So far, so good. Now let's go to Alan Bestwick.
Jeff Gordon is in the 3rd place driver. The stop down and away, fairly good, except the rear tire changer fell coming around the back of the car. Cost him about a second in time.
And Dale Jarrett, current leader on pit road. Final pit stop. Randy?
Going to be a 4-tire stop. Jack Lewis with the front tires. Brad Parrott with the rears. They whip around. The Jack is underneath the car. Mike Ford with that one. Tires going on. Great pit stop. Now let's go to the 18 car.
Randy, Bobby Labonte's in. Bobby said go with the same air pressure in the tires as we started the race with, and they also made a minor track bar adjustment, so the final changes have been made, and now let's see how they play out on the racetrack.
Lap 288 complete. We're showing Jarrett back in front, Labonte the 2nd, Benson in 3rd, yet to pit, followed by Earnhardt, then Gordon, and then Mark Martin, the number 6 in 6th spot, followed by Steve Grissom, who has yet to come on in. Dale Jarrett. Conscientious job by that Quality Care Thunderbird team out here today. Robert Yates and company with Todd Parrott as crew chief. They may have thought this one out just right. Here's Kyle Petty Go a lap down, buddy.
He's just about to go a lap down, and that's what happens. He had that one bad set of tires, or whatever's wrong right now. He's not able to hold him off at all. You see Dale Jarrett going to the outside there, threading the needle in between the lap car there.
Dale Jarrett, who's just building experience, was looking forward to a big day yesterday. He was going to be in the 300, the Grand National race, with his son, Ned's grandson, Jason. But Jason didn't make it through that hooligan race, that consolation round. Picked up some experience, however. But don't think with Dale Jarrett you come to the end of the string. More to come from this great racing family in years to come. Dale Jarrett started the day in 5th. He's fallen back at one time to the end of the top 10. Fought his way back in. He has 12 top 10 finishes, including 3 wins in just the last 15 races. So he's really putting a press as we get down to the final 4 after today. Talladega next week, then Rockingham, then Phoenix, and then Atlanta.
Jarrett had a great stop there. He was just about 4 car lengths ahead of Bobby Labonte when they stopped, but when he got back on the racetrack, he had about a 15 car length lead, so they had a great last stop there.
Tell you, when he won this race in '94, remember, buddy, came from way back, came from what, 22nd position to pull this one off. Didn't have to come that far today, but it looked at the outset as if that 96 was going to have everybody covered. Now, Labonte is in second, and he's being shown as 2 1/10 seconds down to Jarrett. Earnhardt is third, 3 1/10 seconds down, followed by Gordon in 4th, Martin in 5th, and Jeff Burton in 6th. That's where it will be decided. Those are the cars in the lead lap as we come to lap 294. Here's your race summary. 9 leaders, 20 lead changes today, 4 cautions. Off to a great start, record-breaking pace. With 40 laps to go right now, that record will not be touched that Ernie Irvin set of over 150 miles an hour in '93. Average speed at 141. We'll take a break and then be back as we zero in on the finale. Can Jarrett stay in front, or will that Pontiac come roaring back as it did in the early going? It's time quickly for the Auto Weekend Racing. The Auto Weekend Racing features the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where they were really tearing it up. Greg Sachs in the 300-mile race yesterday, into the wall. Dick Trickle cuts a tire. He slams the wall. It's Mark Martin and Jimmy Spencer. They fought for 20 laps side by side before it was decided in favor of Jimmy Spencer taking the checkers. Call 1-800-232-1522 now for a 52-week subscription to Auto Week, $24.95. That's 1-800-232-1522. 301 of 334 laps complete. Last chance to let it all hang out, and the guy that's doing that is Earnhardt. He was turning laps at 171, 172, while leader Jarrett was at 168. Earnhardt turned the wick up, and Earnhardt made the move to get around here. Take a look at this one.
You see Bobby Labonte there coming off the corner. Earnhardt down on the bottom. You can see there he got a great run down the back straightaway. Very even going into turn 3. Now watch Earnhardt right here getting in the corner. He eases off where he can get back in the throttle. That's the move you have to do. If you override the car there, he would have pushed up into Bobby Labonte and had to get out of the throttle.
Second place awarded to Earnhardt and closing. And apparently somebody's been on the payphone to Jarrett and said, you better put the spurs to that horse. He's back to 171.8. 171.8 is the time being turned by Dale Earnhardt as well. Separation is 2 2/10 seconds between first and second. Labonte finds himself in third. Gordon has come to fourth. Martin fifth, followed by Jeff Burton sixth. Ward Burton seventh. Bill Elliott eighth. Kyle Petty in ninth. And we point out that That Elliott car is a lap down to the leaders, as is Ward Burton's number 22. Here's Earnhardt. You think he's burning that rubber off or not?
Yeah, he's getting with it pretty good right now. But let me tell you, Earnhardt's got that carrot out in front of him up there. He's turned it up. He's not worried about tires right now. He has to feel great that the car is running this well.
For young Todd Parrott, you heard from his dad a little earlier out here. His father handling that car that won at Martinsville a week ago, Jeff Burton. And Todd Burton having a great run with his driver, Dale Jarrett. Here's the 24. Here's the 24 coming across. And remember, Gordon is in fourth with more information about how he's running. Here's Alan Bestwood.
Well, Ken, Gordon has got about a car length or two on Mark Martin running right behind him. They were side by side for about 3 laps around a little while ago. Gordon has managed to hold off Martin for that spot. What does that mean? Well, if the race finishes the way it is right now, they will come to a draw in points at the end of the day because Martin has led a lap and gets 5 bonus points. Gordon has not. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Well, Todd Parrott up on top of the toolbox will pull him down. Todd, he's gaining on you a little bit. Can you hold him off?
I sure hope so. You know, been a long time since Earnhardt won a race, and I know he's hungry for one. Been running really strong the last couple of weeks. Just hope he's got a little something saved up out there in that Ford Quality Care car.
Okay, everybody's hearts are with Earnhardt, but Todd would certainly like to see his driver go to victory lane. Mike Hogwood.
We're here with Larry McReynolds. Larry, has Dale got anything for him? Can he catch him?
I don't know. Dale's awfully strong, the 88 car, and I think a lot's going to depend on these last 25 laps where he catches lap traffic and where we catch it. Cars is pretty strung out right now, and of course a caution could throw all that out of the equation and we'd have a new race, but we just have to see what happens. But man, I got to thank Bob Riley, you know, who worked hard on his car, and the guys back at the shop. We just keep getting better every week.
Well, they're better today, and now this crew can only hope that their driver can somehow catch that 88.
Can Earnhardt do it, or will it be his 3rd straight second place finish and leave the question of when he will win that race again at number 55 at Talladega, Alabama? Here's the 88. That's Dale Jarrett, your first place car, and here's Earnhardt chugging away in second spot, 1 6/10 of a second back.
You could see Earnhardt's hands there coming out of turn 4, really going that steering wheel, trying to get it to stick well. Just behind him, Bobby Labonte. You see Rusty move out of the way there. He's out of contention. He moved over for his friend Earnhardt, but look at the green car of Bobby Labonte. He's moving in also again.
309 of 334 laps have now been completed. That gets us down to just 25 laps to go. And that's usually Earnhardt time. Here's what he has to say about those final moments if you're in second place.
Well, I pity the guys in front of me the last lap if I can get close to him.
The old smile is back. And he's there.
Well, I tell you, he's been out in the winner's circle for quite a while, something Dale Earnhardt is certainly not used to. And he would drive it down in the corner so hard that, you know, he wants to win right now, but I know Earnhardt well enough. He wouldn't wreck anybody, but he would put a slide job on him if he had to.
Jarrett, Earnhardt, Labonte, Marlin, front 4, Gordon 5th. Earnhardt eats a 10th off that Jarrett lead. And Bobby Labonte is staying right with him. There you see Bobby Labonte. Todd Bodine setting the pole of a 184 for this race. Led the first 9 laps, the next 96 laps. It was this car, the number 18. Looked like he was just going to mow the field down. Had just about everybody left. Then, big wreck in turn number 2. Tore up a bunch of cars, and Bobby Labonte was the luckiest man here as he went sideways, sliding through it. Check that interval. That's back to Bobby Labonte. Here's Earnhardt, now shown as 1 5/10. He's picked up another 10th on Jarrett.
You see Jarrett there. He's trying to get under Ted Musgrave going into turn 3. Musgrave gives him plenty of room, goes way up, Jarrett right on the white line. That's a familiar sight. That car really works well on the bottom part of the racetrack. There's Earnhardt, the black car you see leading that group right there, going down into the corner. He's giving it everything he has. If he don't run out of time and tires, he's going to be tough.
Dale Jarrett, 12th at Martinsville last Monday, having just a fantastic run after qualifying 5th today. Moments ago, that number 3 car. Whoa!
He got into Marlin there. That's Sterling Marlin. As they come off the corner, they made contact there.
Not much question about that. Still not ready to give it up. Still chasing that number 88, but here comes Bobby Labonte back in to make that Pontiac another factor in the race as we get down to the conclusion.
Well, Ken, that's what happened. He ran it very hard as he could, and you can see right now that Bobby Labonte has called Earnhardt. And the reason for that, I'm sure that Earnhardt runs so very hard trying to close in. He's used his tires up quite a bit now. If he can cool them back down and start running a good line around here to protect those tires, he could be good.
Mike Hogwood can tell us more about that 3 car.
Well, you just saw when he hit Sterling Marlin. Dale Earnhardt is upset about lap traffic not getting out of his way. He's asked the spotter to tell him when he comes up on a lap car to tell him to move out of the way. When he hit Sterling Marlin, now he has reported that there is a slight vibration in the car. It is not running as well as it was a couple laps ago.
No, indeed. Back to 2 seconds between first and second, and the challenger for Earnhardt in second spot, Bobby Labonte. We'll take a quick commercial break and then stay with it to the finish unless there is a caution. 88. Dale Jarrett storming around the 1.5 mile Charlotte Motor Speedway. Headed for that hollow territory? Perhaps.
Oh. Dale Jarrett's running a very, very good line around the racetrack there. You can see right now Earnhardt is really battling with Bobby Labonte down the front straightaway.
And I think he has worn out those tires. It's now 2 8/10 seconds as Jarrett continues to stay there in front and draw a bead on that checkered flag. Bobby Labonte climbing up on the back of Earnhardt. Martin has moved around. Jeff Gordon taken over in 4th. Gordon has fallen to 5th. Jeff Burton is in 6th. Ward Burton is in 7th. And Bill Elliott is in 8th with Kyle Petty now showing 9th. 10 to go. 10 laps remaining for Dale Jarrett. Alan Bestwick on that Jeff Gordon car.
Well, Ken, a minute ago we did an update on the championship picture when Jeff was holding off Mark Martin for the 4th position. Mark has since gone by Jeff and left him. Ray Evernham, I talked to him and said, what's wrong with Jeff's car? He threw his hands up, said, we just haven't been able to get it the way we wanted, and now it's kind of coming back to haunt us. At the end of the race, if it finishes like it is now, with Mark having led and Jeff not having led, that pass by Mark on Jeff for the 4th position will be worth 10 points instead of 5.
And they're really counting those points as we watch this battle for second place here. There you see Earnhardt trying to fight off Bobby Labonte another time.
Just a lap back, Bobby Labonte got all the way up to the door on Earnhardt coming off turn 4. He seems to be getting through 3 and 4 just as well as Earnhardt. Has a good drive off the corner. You can see him trying to close in. Earnhardt, when they start off, it closes in just a little bit right in this part of the racetrack.
And Dale Jarrett out in front seems to have him covered. Look at Bobby Labonte going to the outside as we check the points as of now.
Ow.
Around the outside. Bobby Labonte for second spot. Earnhardt back on the bottom.
Boy, that's hero material when you pass Dale Earnhardt on the outside going in the corner.
Back straightaway. Headed for 3. Bobby Labonte hangs it high. Here comes Waltrip right back on the inside.
Earnhardt is fighting very, very hard here. The two of them look like they're glued together. Earnhardt's not giving up at all here.
Tires may be gone, but the heart isn't. Still even across. Jarrett stays in front, builds on his lead. He has said momentum is a big factor in this Winston Cup Series. We've got to take it and use it to our advantage. The question is, Is this the momentum he needs as they go into those last 4 races to make Jarrett a contender for that national championship this year? Meanwhile, we follow this battle for second place. Earnhardt hanging on, falling to third. Here's the 3-car crew just looking on. Nothing they can do now but offer their prayers and cross their fingers.
You can see Earnhardt there. He's trying everything he can, but he went down in the corner. The car slipped out in the center part of the corner. You can see Bobby Labonte put about 4 car lengths on him in that one corner there.
3:30 complete this time by. Final 4 laps coming up for Dale Jarrett. And you always talk about all the sounds you hear, all the worries you have. But I got to tell you, for Dale Jarrett, Todd Parrott, Robert Yates, and that whole crowd, it all becomes reality now. They've got the lead. They're continuing to build on it by over 4 seconds.
See Mark Martin there in the 6th car. He's running very, very well. He's ahead of Jeff Gordon. That's the one thing he wanted to do, is pick up points and try to close that gap on Jeff Gordon.
And you see the Ward Burton car there. It's down the lap with Bill Elliott. 4th place is Mark Martin, the 94 winner of this 500. He gave it a great shot today. Gave us a great race yesterday with Jimmy Spencer in that Grand National competition. It's been a tremendous weekend here. The Saturday race just spectacular. And today, it's been a surprise. About every 100 miles, we thought we had it covered with the effort of Bobby Labonte in that Pontiac. And all of a sudden, this car, number 88, has proven to be the car to beat.
With 3 laps to go, I know that there's one person, this man's dad. I guarantee he has to be the proudest guy in the world. Ned Jarrett, one of the best. He's watched his son start out on short tracks at Hickory, move in, win major races. Dale Jarrett is a complete race car driver now. Good patient. He understands how to work on the car. He has a crew chief he thinks so much of. What a team.
Saw him give a wave to Jeff Green as Green gave ground and let him through. Labonte and Earnhardt second and third. Martin is in 4th. Gordon is in 5th as we get down to the end of this one. And we've seen him go right to here, and then something goes poof, and the whole thing goes away. That's not what Dale Jarrett wants right now. That's exactly what Bobby Labonte in the 18 is looking for, and Earnhardt in the 3. Hasn't Earnhardt given a great accounting for himself today, buddy?
He certainly has. He has the heart. Sooner or later, they're going to hook it up. This race car is good. We're in the final lap, Ken.
White flag is down. Dale Jarrett making that final lap around the 1.5 miles of the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the UAW-GM 500. Down he comes off turn 4. Dale Jarrett's 6th win of the year, 14th of his career, is decided this afternoon. He led 5 times, 85 laps, including that final 58 in a row. Dale Jarrett pulls it off. Yes, indeed, he did it. Spotters up on the roof, crowd up on their feet to congratulate a local driver from just up the road. Dale Jarrett of Hickory, North Carolina, has won the 38th annual UAW-GM 500. Randy's down there with the crew chief right now.
Guys, you have to be elated. Todd Parrott, congratulations. Dale Jarrett's 6th win of the season.
What can I say? You know, just a great job by this whole race team. They've done a super job all weekend. We never give up, and you know, we've got a race car driver like Dale Jarrett, and I guess the good Lord was with us today. You know, we had a good race car. You know, it was off just a little bit, and with 2 pit stops left, the dropped the jack and the left front spring rubber was laying on pit road, and from there on the car was perfect. So just one of those days.
Sometimes you got to be good, sometimes you got to be good and lucky. They were both today.
Plastic Coat, the official spray paint of NASCAR, proud to sponsor the Winning Finish Award, presented to Todd Parrott. Plastic Coat presents $3,000 to the crew chief of the highest finishing Winston Cup team participating in Plastic Coat's award program. At the end of the year, the crew chief with the best average finish will be receiving $50,000. Congratulations today to Todd Parrott and that great crew. take a look at the top 10 as we go to break, and then we'll meet the winner, Jarrett, in victory lane at Charlotte Motor Speedway, defeating Bobby Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Burton Elliott, Ward Burton, Kyle Petty, and Johnny Benson. Back with you live at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and let's head for the Purolator winner's circle with Steve Burns and your winner, Dale Jarrett.
And Dale Jarrett's 6th win of 1997, the 2nd time he's won the October race here. Dale, how'd you guys do it?
Just a great race car. We made some changes this morning. Todd Parrott and I sat last night in my motorhome for quite a while. Debbie's sorry he was late getting home for supper. It did pay off, though. But just an awesome car. I want to say hello to my Uncle Jim, who's in the hospital, not doing too well. Jim, hope you get better soon. We're thinking about you, bud. Thank God for a safe race. Just thank God for the talents that he's given these guys that I work with week in and week out. And I want to say hello to Kelly and Zachary and Natalie and Carson. Natalie and Carson were in a gymnastics meet today. Hope y'all did as well as I did.
Dale, you grew up right up the road. How special is it to win at Charlotte? These races are all so big. How about here at Charlotte?
Yeah, all of them are big, but here at Charlotte's really special. You know, I grew up around here. Got a lot of fans here, a lot of family here. But this is just a class place to come race, and I think that makes it even more special. And it's a difficult racetrack to get around. These guys give me cars like this, it makes it easier.
Congratulations, a great team effort. Let's go to Alan Bestwick.
Aspen Truck Series heads to Phoenix for the Goodwrench Delco Battery 300, live at 3:35 p.m. That's right here on TBS. And coming up next on TBS, it's the WCW Pro Wrestling taking on the New World Order here on the Superstation. That's it for today, folks. For Steve Burns, Alan Bestwick, Randy Pemberton, and Mike Hogwood, and Buddy Baker, the 67 winner of this event, I'm Ken Squire. Congratulations to Dale Jarrett. Don't feel any pressure, he says, being the son of a racing champion. I just look at things as they are, and I do my best. What a great job he did today.